My camera is balancing on top of this tripod right now. Right. Let's talk about breastfeeding. So my daughter Brooklyn is now a little over 3 months old, and we made the switch to formula right before she turned 3 months old. So I'd say it's been about 3 weeks, and I think it comes as a surprise that I chose to put her on formula, because guess what? I hated breastfeeding. I hated it. When I was pregnant, I read books and books and so many articles about breastfeeding and how to do it and where you can get support, and I was prepared, or so I thought. I thought I was ready. I want to say, so she was born in May, and I want to say by day 2 of breastfeeding, I wanted to be done. I was sore, I was cracked, I had blisters, it was miserable. But if you can get through, I think that first week of breastfeeding, then it's kind of like, okay, I'm getting the hang of it, we can do this. And I got over that first hump of, you know, it's miserable. And then we kind of settled into it, but it was still always painful. And I just thought that was normal. I would catch myself while I was feeding her, just like grinding my teeth, clenching my jaw. It was miserable. It hurt all the time. And it got to a point where I couldn't take the pain anymore, but I wanted to keep doing it for her. When I went back to work in early July, I work 3rd shift, so I was still able to feed her throughout the day. I go to work at 10 p.m. and come home at 6 o'clock in the morning and sleep until 11. So her first 2 to 3 feedings of the day, I would miss out on. I'd pump and I'd put it in a bottle and chase it up to give it to her. 3 feedings that I was missing out on, even though like I'd pump like through the night at work, I'd pump in the morning when I got home, I still saw a dip in my supply when I went back to work. So then right before she turned 3 months old, all of a sudden my left side was making little to no milk at all. So she tried to eat off that side, get really frustrated and just scream because there was nothing coming out or it wasn't coming out fast enough. So then we were just feeding on the right side, and that too just became extremely frustrating for her, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was her latch. I don't know if she has some sort of a lip tie or a tongue tie that we did get looked at, but I still kind of think she has a lip tie. I just couldn't figure out what it was. I was exhausted between going back to work, trying to keep up my supply, feed her. I mean, it was exhausting. Breastfeeding is exhausting. I noticed that she would eat for like 30-40 minutes at a time, and I think if I never pulled her off, she would still be eating because she just was eating all the time for longer periods of time. I thought it was just a growth spurt at first, but it was like 2 weeks of this, and I started to get worried about her weight. So I took her in, got her weight checked, and it was okay. It had been about a month since the last time she'd been weighed, and I don't think she gained as much as she should have, but she did gain some weight. And that's when I decided that, you know, we should start supplementing with formula, just because I knew that I wasn't making enough, and I was to the point where I was so exhausted, and breastfeeding was not fun. We were both miserable. You know, I dreaded having to feed her. We both would cry. It just wasn't fun. So in the beginning, I would do 3 ounces of breast milk, and then in a separate bottle, make 2 ounces of formula, and that's like 2 ounces of water, 1 scoop. And then she drinks 5 ounces. So I do 3 ounces of breast milk, 2 ounces of formula. And then I was using in my freezer stash, I had probably 500 ounces stored of breast milk. You know, and I was still pumping as much as I could every day to try and keep my supply up, because that's what I planned to do. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be an exclusive pumper. and we're gonna make this work. I still want her to have breast milk, but I can't breastfeed her anymore. So then our deep freezer broke and I lost all my breast milk. I went out to grab a pizza from the garage in the deep freeze out there, and I pick up a soggy pizza and realize that everything was defrosted. Not only did we lose breast milk, but we lost a ton of food, which is just sad. And that's when we had to make the switch. I mean, I was only pumping like 4 ounces a day. She's awake. I mean, I would just get dribbles out when I would pump. So that's when we had to make the switch to formula. She's still in her jammies because it's like 7:30 in the morning. So when we did make the switch to formula, I started her on the Similac Pro Advance. And this is said to be the closest to breast milk. So that's what we started her on. But she started having like the worst reflux from it. While we were breastfeeding, she definitely had reflux, definitely was just a pukey baby, always spitting up. I cut out dairy, I cut out caffeine. I tried to eat so good and nothing I did helped. And that was another reason why I wanted to be done, is just because I felt like she was miserable. She was constantly spitting up. So I started her on the Similac, and about 2 weeks of that, you know, I had to help her with the spit up. Like, it just was not working. So then we made the switch to the Enfamil Neural Pro Gentle Ease, and that was life-changing. So I mixed the two to get her used to the taste, and then we made the switch to the Enfamil, and life-changing. She will maybe spit up a little bit after feeding, but that's it. It's nothing like it used to be. Like, we would have to wait an hour after she ate to do tummy time, because if you laid her on her stomach, she would just puke everywhere. So I'm glad we got that figured out. I'd say that I am proud that we are formula fed, that she's formula fed, only because I did what's best for her. I feel like I did what was best for her. We were miserable breastfeeding. I'd say I'm a happier mama, she's a happier baby, because we switched. She's not having as many problems with reflux or spitting up. She's not having those latch issues. I'd say that we are happy with formula feeding. I would definitely recommend getting a Dr. Brown's bottle. We like these big ones with the green vent system, because as she gets older and doesn't need the vent so much anymore, you can actually take it out you can take out the vent part and then just use the bottle, you know, by itself. Whereas with the other ones, like the blue ones, you can't do that. You can't use them without the vent. So these ones are my favorite. And then this was the best $3 I've ever spent, was one of these like sectioned travel formula cases. So it comes with 3 compartments. You good? So it comes with 3 compartments, and you just put like whatever serving of formula you need. For her, it's 2 scoops, so whatever serving of formula you need in each compartment. And then you just turn it to wherever you need it, open it up to the compartment that you need, and you can just dump it in the bottle. So you don't need to like take a can of formula with you in the diaper bag. You don't need to like pour it in a plastic bag and risk it like spilling. This brand, I think, is Munchkin. Yeah, this is Munchkin. Ordered it off of Target online because the nearest Target is like an hour away from me. That's why we made the switch to formula. Moral of the story is that fed is best. If you woke up today and you did what you thought was best for your baby, you're a good mom. Breastfeeding is just not for some people at all. And that's okay. And you should be proud that you didn't put yourself through hell just because you thought that's what someone else wanted you to do. I mean, look at how happy this baby is. My battery's gonna die. New one. I feel like my face is like super bronze. Oh, there's a squirrel in the street just walking. So I'd say, oh my God, there's cars. My TV just turned on by itself. That was scary.